David Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to acknowledge the good words that have been said by members of this House in regards to how the committee worked on this free trade agreement, and especially to my good chair for the committee, Mark Mitchell, who did a great job as chair, so acknowledging that, and his ability to chair that committee so well, and also the Labor members that made their points well known during this debate, and also through the committee stage, or the select committee stage, but at the same time recognise the importance of free trade to New Zealand. And especially Mr. Goff over there that spoke earlier, that was instrumental in the Chinese agreement, understands that sometimes you just have to look and make the best agreement you can, and you cannot always have everything that you would want, which is contrary to what the New Zealand First and Green Party members have said. And I just want members of the public that are listening to this debate to remember that, because on this side of the House you have a national government that is intent on building our trading base, is intent on giving New Zealanders the opportunity to prosper and succeed in the world, that is intent on giving our exporters the tools to go out there and to show their wares on the world stage. That's right. It is an intent that is actually supported by the Labor Party, and that is good on them. But it's not an intent supported by the other forms of the opposition, the New Zealand First and Green Party. And those parties, together with the Labor Party, is the choice that New Zealanders have to make. It's not a choice between National and Labor, it's a choice between National, Labor, the Greens and New Zealand First. And under that choice of Labor, Greens and New Zealand First, New Zealand would not be a free trading country. New Zealand would not be a free trading country. There would, rubbish. Okay, well, your members have voted against this bill. Order. So it'd be interesting to see. It's interesting to see that member would actually have some rational reason between.
Order. I think we've had a double offence, which is you probably let both of them go. But Dr. Graham, please don't interject when you're wandering around, and Mr. Bennett, don't refer to Dr. Graham as me. Thank you.
Nobody would refer to Dr. Graham as yourself. But the New Zealand First member said that what was good in this for Northland? What is good in this for Northland? Well, what is Northland but a productive part of our country? Northland produces the goods and services that are shown around the world. They produce the forestry products that we export. They produce the dairy products that we export. They produce the meat products that we export. They produce the food products that we export through all our great ports in New Zealand. And the Northland economy has the most to benefit from this free trade agreement. Auckland's Garden, but also the Garden of Eden for South Korea now. And that is the fact that without the free trade agreement, Northland does not prosper. And it is very, very sad that the new member for Northland could not actually be in this House and deliver a speech in regard to that. And it's very sad that his associates have to...
The member knows that he does not refer to the absence of a member. He will withdraw.
Withdraw, but the New Zealand First Party is not supporting this.
The member will resume his seat. The member knows that he must unconditionally withdraw. The member cannot say, I withdraw, but.
That's an interesting turn of phrase. Yes, I withdraw.
Thank you.
Now, the New Zealand First Party does not agree with this bill. And they do not see any advantage in this for Northland. Well, there is advantage for Northland. If you're an exporter coming from Northland, you want those tariffs to be removed. Those tariffs that are there are holding back the export potential of that region and therefore the growth of that region. And that is what this bill is about. It is providing growth and opportunity for the regions of New Zealand. Those exporting bases that are important for the growth of our country going forward. And I commend all parties of this House that have supported this bill for the ability and the way that they have done that. Now, all free trade agreements involve some negotiation. There is no set-piece free trade agreement that will happen overnight. And the New Zealand First members have said that this is a thing that will take a period of time to come to fruition. Well, that is the case. That is the normal nature of free trade agreements. The question is for New Zealand, do we stay out of free trade agreements hoping that we get it all in one hit, which would never occur, or do we actually go into those free trade agreements and build that base for our economy going forward? And New Zealand needs to enter these agreements. For example, when we look at the South Korean agreement, the Australian government has already entered into that some years ago, and New Zealand was behind the 8 ball. Our competitive advantage was being eroded by the inability to actually compete in that market through not having a free trade agreement. This free trade agreement gives us that ability. It is somewhat a number of years later than the Australian one, but still gets us into that zone and that ability to deliver for our exporters. And if we take the opposition point of view, New Zealand would not enter these agreements. New Zealand would put up a fortress mentality and believe that it can put in a number of trade barriers, tariffs and such like to stop New Zealanders being realistic in their ability to trade. And the member over there says rubbish, but that is the party policy of his party. His party is against free trade. It has always been against free trade, always will be against free trade, and it is the case of his party. And if it is not rubbish, vote for the bill. Vote for the free trade agreement. Vote for this agreement that's in front of you today. Why don't you vote for it? Because they are against free trade. That is why. And New Zealanders know that they need free trade. And when we look at some of the aspects of this bill, when we look at some of those products that are going to be advantaged by this bill, we look at kiwi fruit. Kiwi fruit has a 45% tariff. That's a large tariff, and that will be phased out over 5 years. That is good for the New Zealand kiwi fruit industry. That puts us on a level playing field with Chile, one of our biggest competitors in that industry, in that region, in that market, because they already have a free trade agreement. If you look at meat products, New Zealand exports about $186 million worth of meat products to Korea each year, and we pay about $70 million worth in duties. That's a 40% tariff, which will be phased out within 15 years. 40% tariff phased out in 15 years. That is good for the people of Northland. That is good for the exporters of New Zealand. Forestry, $503 million of forestry products going into Korea. Over 99% of those exports will be duty-free within 10 years. That is good news for the people of Northland. That is good news for the people of New Zealand. And I challenge that party over there that is anti-free trade, that now has the ability to represent the people of Northland. Stand up for the people of Northland. Give them something. Don't take things away from them. Give them something to the people of Northland. Give them the opportunity to go out there and to deliver their economic future. Don't take it away because of some pure ideology that their leader may have that they all follow like clones over in that party. And then the Green Party will never agree to free trade. The Green Party will find every excuse in the book to avoid having free trade. It doesn't matter if it was the best free trade agreement that could ever be written. Even if Kennedy Graham had written the agreement, he would not vote for it because they would not. The Green Party cannot philosophically agree with free trade. So that bloc of the New Zealand opposition is against free trade. And that is the thing that New Zealanders need to take out of this debate. The Labour Party knows it's good. They know they're going to vote for it. They know it's the right thing to do. The New Zealand First Party is against it. The Green Party is against it. And the National Government is for it and has delivered this for New Zealanders. So, Mr Speaker, this is a good bill. It is good for the people of Northland. And it is a shame that the representatives from Northland won't vote for it, but that is something that is their prerogative and shows that they don't actually care for the people of Northland. And who didn't expect that to happen in this House? Because in the end, they do not care. They want to go back to the 1950s, to some little space that they control, and that is not good for New Zealanders. And we need free trade, Mr Speaker, and this delivers it. Thank you.
Mr Speaker?
Julianne Genter.